And welcome everyone to the Circle Debate Podcast. This is the host of Devious One, Ivan C. And today, ladies and gentlemen, I am finally joined. I've been asking for this man to be on the show, and he's here today, which I'm really excited and I'm happy because, man, this individual is the inventor of terror, of sports terrorism, first of all, okay? Let me just clear that to everybody. The violence dealer, ladies and gentlemen, as well. The master of the camel clutch. Okay, the pinnacle of MLW's most talked about faction of all time, CONTRA. And of course, he is the founder of WARBEAST, and he is currently the PCW Tag Team Champion, along with Jacob Fatu, WARBEAST, and the founder of WARBEAST, and also has held these prestigious titles that has never been talked about, which should be talked about. He has held unifying the AWA and the 10 pounds of gold NWA World Championship. And ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome the almighty himself, the almighty Sheik Josef Samael. How are you?
Oh, very good, very good. That's are you talking about me there, man? You really put me over strong, man. Thank you very much.
Honestly, you are the man. And not only that, you're also the CEO and founder of PCW Ultra as well. And if not the greatest, not one of them, the greatest promotions out here in Southern California. You know, so I want to get into that very brief about PCW. How did it develop? How did it all become about? I know prior before you ran a promotion up in Florida, but how did it all begin? You know, the foundation of PCW Ultra. How did that all, all that started?
Yeah, so I moved to California from Florida. I was running Pro Wrestling Fusion out in Florida, and we were running multiple towns, and I was, I had a small staff, but it was basically me, and so then I came to California, and I still had a kind of a full wrestling schedule, but I wasn't really wrestling in California. I was always flying out to wrestle, and I had a couple guys reach out to me wanting to get me on a show. And one of the gentlemen was a guy by the name of Mike Sharnagle, and he's like, look, I want to run this wrestling company. I want to do this and that. And I said, well, we just started shooting it back and forth on, what he should do, what he shouldn't do. And he's like, well, you know a lot about this. Why don't you help me out? So I was like, sure. So me and Mike, we started running shows in Torrance, California about it's got to be about 6 years ago now. And man, by the first show, it was me and MVP, and we returned with me and MVP. And then by the third show, I think I had a championship tournament for the heavyweight belt, and I had Pentagon Jr. at the time, and he won the belt. And the first challenger was Rob Van Dam. And Rob made his way to the arena that night and challenged Penta, and we were just off and running after that. I mean, the next show, we basically couldn't fit everybody in the building. We moved to a bigger building, and we've just been off and running since then. And then during COVID, my partner, Mike, he bailed out. He's just like, look, man, you got this. I think I'm done. And, for a second I was thinking, well, maybe I'll just cool it for a while. I won't run wrestling. And then we just had so many people come out, and it just meant so much to so many people. And it meant a lot to me too. And we had done so much work to build it that I just decided to go to keep going. Not on my own, as the person that runs it, but I have such a great and talented and loyal staff that I've assembled over the years. And yeah, man, everybody just was super into it still. And we came back in October and we had a sellout show. It was amazing. We were going to have a return date, and the building ended up calling it for what was another wave of COVID. Yeah. And then we kind of lost a bunch of momentum there. And then we ended up, getting dates for May the 13th, which is our next show. And, we're full steam ahead after that. So it's been rough, with COVID, because we've had to start and stop, and we had that big 2-year sabbatical, if that's what you can call it. And Yeah, it was just it really hurts a company like ours specifically because, you know, it's like we need the momentum that we generated. So it's, you know, for all intents and purposes, even though everybody's really excited and we do have the fan support, in a lot of ways it's like starting over, which is difficult, but everybody's in the same boat. So it's not just us, but we're definitely super gracious and super grateful for our fan base who's remained loyal through this whole thing. And, you know, we can't thank them enough. So we like to always over deliver to our fans because we know that they are the lifeblood of our company.
And well, we thank you mainly because without you, we would not have, you know, with this phenomenal promotion without you. You know, you running it behind the scenes and, you know, keeping everything on track. And like how you mentioned, you're doing it for us here, SoCal Pro Wrestling fans, and we bow down to you, Almighty. Thank you very, very much, Almighty, for keeping it going and keeping it running strong. Hell no, man. We love it. I mean, I'm telling you, as of now, I mean, of course, we can go back to a prior day before, like how PWG was running in the beginning of Reseda. But I mean, upon when PCW came along, it just became the pinnacle of it now here in SoCal. And that's the beauty of it, what you've done and what you've accomplished. So, and what are you looking ahead of the future of PCW Ultra? And, you know, now that, you know, hopefully this shit is done. I'm hoping this fucking shit is done because I'm tired of it too. I'm with you.
Yeah, I think it's done. You know, it's just about getting back on the horse and riding it, you know, as fast as we can. You know, it's about, revamping our roster, you know, and getting, you know, because we always use such top stars that, you know, a lot of our guys that we built, a lot of our guys that we brought into wrestling or were a launching pad for, they're gone. You know, a lot of them have gone on to the WWE or to AEW or, you know, wherever. And, you know, so we're always looking for the next best, the young, bright superstars of tomorrow. We're always working with our people, you know, like we've got Viva Van really rocking right now. She's doing a great job all over the country. But, you know, when these wrestlers do such a wonderful job, it's only time before they're gone, you know? So we're pretty happy being in that spot of, you know, bringing up, you know, we're kind of like a tow rope. We kind of pull up the next talent and we, not only do we, you know, give them a stage, but PCW Ultra is just a little different. We do things like a professional company. You know, everything we do is real. The way you're treated at PCW, what's expected of you at PCW, the punctuality, the schedule of the day. You know, this mirrors, you know, an ROH, a WWE, Impact, AEW, and whatnot. You know, this is a lot of indies. You just kind of show up and do what you want. You know, that's really not the case with PCW. We have a lot of respect for professional wrestling. We have a lot of respect for our fans. You notice our shows aren't too long. You notice the match pacing is always good. You notice, you know, there's never too much. There's always a nice smorgasbord of wrestling. There's always a little something for everybody. There's always legends. You know, we try to make something that is unique to us and completely different than anybody else is doing. And, you know, we just try to do it at the highest level and try to give the fans a wonderful experience. And that's what you're going to that's what you're going to see from us moving forward is we're just going to continue with our core values. We're going to continue with our formulas and you're going to continue seeing professional wrestling at a high level. And, you know, when you buy a PCW Ultra ticket, you can trust that you're going to see a good above board professional wrestling show. And we're going to over deliver every time. And I take great pride in that.
Absolutely. And I 100% agree because, you know, the diversity that PCW brings, how you mentioned the legends bring along and upcoming stars. But, you know, another thing that it's not mentioned, but I'm going to say it overall, it's, you know, honestly, if it wasn't for yourself, you know, with PCW, a lot of the people that we're seeing now on bigger platforms, like you mentioned earlier, it was because the credentials that you provided. I mean, because, you know, the platform that you have with PCW, like we would not known about, you know, the Lucha Bros. We would not know about, you know, Taya Valkyrie as much. I can name so many that, you know, wrestled on your platform for PCW. And I'm not, you know, dissing Lucha Underground. I mean, of course they had it, but
sure.
Yeah, but
No,
we're
definitely a piece in the puzzle. That's for sure. And
yes.
and I like to think that the veterans that we book are helping the younger talent. So it's a really good learning ground for talent. There's a good mix of professional wrestling minds of all ages, all experiences. We have top lucha guys. We have top guys from Japan. We have top guys from the South. We have old school guys. We've got, new athletic kids. We've just got a little bit of everything. So it's a really interesting place because the locker room's very harmonious. So everybody is like cool with everybody and wanting to help each other. There's healthy competition back there. So I wouldn't say that we're responsible for anybody's talent or, we're responsible for getting anybody there, but we're definitely a piece in the puzzle. We're definitely a respectable piece in the puzzle that any wrestler could tell another wrestler if they said, "Oh, what do you think about PCW Ultra?" They're going to say, "Yeah, thumbs up, go there." So
exactly.
I have great pride in that. I have great pride that a young wrestler can invite his family and not be embarrassed of what they're going to see. There's always a crowd for these guys and girls to wrestle in front of. So, we do the work and promotion and, it's just a very good environment for an up and coming wrestler. And it's a very respectable environment for a veteran, a legend, like guys like Ricky Steamboat, guys like the Road Warrior Animal, Stan Hansen, the Great Muda, Haku, on and on and on, all the, incredible legends we've had. When they walk in the door and they see what we're doing, right away, I can tell, they give me the nod, they're like, man, Terry Funk's another one. He couldn't say enough good stuff about it. Steamboat was calling me like every week, like, man, your show is just really good, man. I was really impressed. And just to have that nod from guys that I respect, guys that I consider the architects of this business, that means we're on the right track. And if we're on the right track as a company, that means the wrestlers coming in are going to be put into the right track. And it just goes all the way down. And we're doing it right. And it's working because we're doing it the right way. And it's harder and it takes more and it takes longer and you have to do more promoting and you have to uncover every rock and you have to watch tape on everybody. But you know what? If you want to do something, you should do it the right way is the way I was taught. So, I think we're on the right track and just hopefully we're here for years to come. I don't see the fans not supporting us and I don't see us not giving them what we've been giving them and then some.
Absolutely. And you have. And, speaking of what you were taught, so what was the influences that help you, that you pick brain and strive along the way of developing the foundation of PCW where it's at now? Who are your influences prior then, that, and getting into promoting, I guess?
Well, early on, somebody that was really, really influential to me is a wrestler called the Blackheart, Dave Johnson. And he really just taught me how to make a living at pro wrestling, which, through this journey, like everybody you wrestled, everybody you talked to in a locker room, everybody that you drove in a car with, everybody influences you. But when I met Kevin Sullivan at an early age in my career, I'm 25 years in now. So I've probably known Kevin for I've got to be at least 22, 23 years. I met Kevin early on in my career, and the first thing he said to me was, if this was 1970, you'd be driving a Cadillac. And I was like, that's a hell of a compliment, man. I've never heard that before, but that's a really cool compliment. Awesome. And so I started a relationship with Kevin that went beyond the ring. We just became fast friends. He's kind of like my wrestling father. He tells me, in the early days, don't do this, do that. And then as I've grown older and as I've earned his respect and as he, has been a big part of PCW Ultra and sees, what I do and how I do it, he just kind of falls back and just watches me now. And he might pipe in every once in a while, but Kevin's more like counsel to me now, where I'll shoot an angle over to him or something like that. You know, I'm thinking this and that and that. If I can't kind of get there, or if I'm having a little bit of trouble, he'll what do you think about that or something like that. But Kevin has been for 22, 23 years, and all the way through PCW has been a tremendous influence on me. And Kevin, I don't know if anybody really, the people who are real wrestling historians or diehard wrestling fans would know, but Kevin was responsible for the NWO. Kevin was responsible for Goldberg. I mean, he booked with Eddie Graham, who was, you know, for my money, the best booker that ever lived. Kevin's been all over and back, and has had positions at the highest level in professional wrestling for many, many years. So Kevin's like Yoda, you know.
Yes,
so you just go
yes,
to Kevin, and you go to Kevin and you just sit there, you know, you go down to his feet and you ask him the question, and he drops the knowledge on you, you know what I mean? So yeah, Kevin's really, really guided me. And you know, I've taken all that knowledge from him and from Earthquake John Tenta and from, you know, I you know, Jake Roberts a lot in Florida, and Mike Graham, and Bushwhacker Luke, and you know, Savio Vega, and just so many legends along the way. So many guys that let me bend their ear and talk to me and smarten me up to things that I was, you know, interested in and all that. But Kevin mainly.
Awesome. That is awesome. And you've spoken to that you've been in the business for 25 years already now, which I, you know, follow your career as much as I can. But you, honestly, for me, one of the greatest careers, and still currently an awesome career that you have. You know, winning championships around here in America, winning a championship in Japan. But, you know, I know everybody asks the same basic question, oh, how did it all begin? But I would put it more into, you know, giving the floor to you, obviously, and put it in your own words, like very briefly. How the journey began, like very brief in your own words in the business.
Well, you know, I grew up in Florida, and I had the privilege of watching Eddie Graham's championship wrestling from Florida. Gordon Soley was the announcer. Harley Race was the world champion. The Briscoes were in a feud with the Funks. Dusty Rhodes was on top, and you know, Harley was the champ, but Dusty was obviously the American Dream was in full swing. And I got to go to the matches on Monday nights, and I got to see from when I was a 3-year-old kid till, you know, probably 6 or 8 or something like that. And I would go live and see the matches every Monday night. So I really loved the business. And then I got into the WWF, and then the whole Macho Man and Hogan and Elizabeth triangle and all that, and probably still my favorite angle of all time. And my dad had a construction business in Florida, and he wasn't treating me really easy. He was beating the hell out of me on that construction site, and he was trying to get me to go to school. And I just had this crazy idea that I would become a professional wrestler, and everybody laughed at me, and everybody, you know, yeah, sure. And I found a wrestling school, and the first one I found was really terrible. And then I knew it. I didn't know why it was wrong, but I knew it was wrong. And then I found another one, and it was tough. And the guys that were in there, I didn't know a lot of them. I wasn't really starstruck or anything like that. They were a lot of journeyman wrestlers, but what they were doing in the ring, it just commanded respect. And I was just like, you know, and it was probably the toughest thing I've ever gone through. And I've gone through some pretty heady situations in my life. But it was very, very, very difficult the way these guys trained us. And man, I just, one day I got a pair of boots and started getting on shows, and I blinked, and here we are 25 years later, man. It's just, my first tour was in Puerto Rico when it was still a territory, and I lived there for like a year. And yeah, man, haven't looked back since. I went all the way around the world and back multiple times, and wrestled in almost all the states and Alaska and, you know, everywhere and back. And yeah, man, it's been a crazy ride. But like I said, it feels like it was yesterday. It's like I just blinked and I was off to the races, and then I turned around and it's like, oh, I'm an old guy now. But you know, it's just crazy. But yeah, man, it's been a wonderful journey. But I always knew that I wanted to be in the booking end. Like I always, even when I was a kid, I was probably like 6 years old, 7 years old. And I just remember having all of my action figures. I'd have like all the Marvel figures and the DC figures, and I would put them all and I would book cards. And I was a little kid and I would book cards like pay-per-views. And I just remember always being so fascinated with the inner workings of wrestling and how it was all put together. And I always had so many questions. And then in probably like 96, maybe 94, 96, I got the internet, and the internet kind of opened up the dressing room kind of. So it was like, oh, okay. And it gave you like a pro wrestling glossary, and you're like, what the hell is this? And you're learning all these terms. And then I'm starting to find schools, and I see Dean Malenko's school and Al Snow's school and Bastion Booger's school. And, you know, and I'm, you know, just the internet kind of opened everything up in a strange way. And, like it never was before, because I, you know, obviously saw the era prior where it was a closed business. And then even in the 90s, like you couldn't just get in, you know what I mean? Yeah. It was different. And when you did walk in the door, there was about a 3 to 6 month period where they beat on you pretty hard. Like it wasn't like it is today. Like, I mean, you walked out of wrestling school with bruises and your nose bleeding and black eyes. And, you know, it was brutal. It wasn't like, you know, you just, oh yeah, we're wrestlers and everybody's playing around. It was, they made you respect it. They twisted you up and made you tap out, and, you know, they beat you up pretty good. But, you know, I wouldn't have wanted to train any different. Like I really got a great respect for it. And the fact that I got over that mountain, you know, made me, it was almost like I never wanted to stop because I had put so much into it. You know, it gave me a great respect for it. Absolutely. And you have a lot of people that actually look up to you and admire you for your work. Like, you know, when I had just, you know, spoken to, you know, Jay Vidal, you know, he really looks up to you. You know, Danica, the ROUGE is another one, Viva Van, like so many that I've spoken to, you know, off the air and speaking to them in person. You are an inspiration in the business, and I'm glad that you have that mindset. Like, this is a craft, this is a sport to us. And I you know, I grew up also with, you know, early 80s. So yes, age is only a number. Just to let you know, age is only a number, my brother. But it's my body. That's the only problem. The body is different. So but I love the fact that how you use that mindset and how you present, not only besides yourself as well in career, but also for PCW as well. And that's why it intrigues us fans to, you know, keep coming to every show, because it's storytelling at its best in the ring. Thank you. And that's and I mean that, because that's, well, you know, I'm more old school too. I'm more about storytelling. It doesn't have to be a high spot here and there. None of that shit. It has to be. Well, it needs to get you emotionally connected. That's what got me into the business. So obviously, you know, if I'm a painter and I'm influenced by Basquiat or something like that, it's like I'm gonna paint that way. You know what I mean? So it's like this is what I saw. So this is what in my head pro wrestling is. So, you know, it might be my age or you know, but whatever, you know, I think there's always, I just thought it was so brilliant that we could tell stories with our body in real time, and, you know, and how difficult it was, that when you're able to actually perform the craft, it was just a really gratifying thing to be able to accomplish that. So, I remember when you know, when I first started and you know, we would call these long matches, you know, and it would just drone on and on and on, and there'd be no emotion in it because we were trying to remember everything. And one day I woke up and I just go, you know what? I'm just going to go out there and not call a thing. And the first match is going to suck. And the 10th match is going to suck. And the 20th match is going to suck. But by about the 25th time I do that, I'm going to kind of know what's what. And that's what I just did. And I just threw myself out there under the, I kind of made an agreement to myself that this was my practice. The independents and the smaller shows that I was doing at the time was my practice for me to develop my craft, much like a comedian does an open mic. It's like you throw jokes out there, and if it works, then you keep it. And that's kind of the mentality I had. And by the 25th match, it didn't suck that much less, but it sucked less. And the other thing about you brought up Jay Vidal and Danica and VIVA, and I find it funny that people don't like to help other people in the business because there's only one you. Like, you have to be unique, and you can't be threatened by anybody else. And every bit of knowledge that you accumulate, that you acquire along the way, somebody gives it to you.
Right.
You don't just come up with it. You know what I mean? I mean, some things you do, you come up with it, but it's by a mistake. So indirectly, somebody still gave it to you. So, if you're not generous with your knowledge, when so many people have been generous with their knowledge, it's just kind of silly. It's like, it makes you it's almost like a greedy person taking money and he never, buys dinner for somebody else. It's just, you've got to kind of share the wealth. And I always felt that, all of this knowledge that was coming to me, I was always excited to tell people. Like, I was always really if I saw a kid do something, I kind of marked out for going, oh, check this out. Let me shave 2 or 3 steps off your journey. Look at this. And when they'd pop, I'd feel good. Like, I never, so those people that talk nicely about me, and I love all 3 of those wrestlers. It's just nice that they actually get it and they understand, because they're all intelligent kids. And it's just nice that they understand what's actually happening. Because a lot of times in our business, people are just trying to get theirs. Right. And that's really not the way it was. Like, that's really not. It was always it was a very insular community that everybody knew what was what, or else you couldn't be involved in this community. And everybody shared, stuff to get everybody better, because everybody didn't want the public to know what was what, because we had to go to the next town and we had to keep this thing going. So even when people knew the business was predetermined, I was a kid, I knew the business was predetermined, but we always had a great respect for the kayfabe when the wrestlers would not break character in the ring, or not, they would connect all the dots, So yeah, man, it's just, this business is the way it's kind of heading. I think it's gonna, it's heading to extreme athleticism, and it's almost to the point where ECW was, where it's just, now we're seeing all these death match shows. Somebody's gonna end up getting hurt. Something silly is gonna happen. But if somebody told me that I had to roll around in broken glass to make my living, I mean, I'm not going to do things like that, man. It's like, that's not what I got into it for. I like dangerous wrestling. I like to evoke an emotion of danger. I like people to be scared and exhilarated and terrified and happy. And I like to bring out very strong emotions in people, but I don't want to do it at the risk of my own health. That's never what, you're already in the business. You can make one wrong move and break your neck. It's already dangerous. To up the ante by ripping your body apart with light tubes and stuff like that is just stupid, So I hope that guys that actually can wrestle, and guys that can actually work and can get a gimmick and a character over, I hope they don't feel like they have to do death matches now because it's the hip thing, which I still don't understand how that turned into the hip thing, especially when it's a card with 6 or 7 matches, and 7 of them are death matches. And not one of the death matches is special now. It's like, it's a weird thing.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I totally agree 100%. And that's why, but even though we're in this new modern era of professional wrestling, of course it changed throughout the years. I always go back and look at the old school days because I like the storytelling. I like telling the story, especially like I can mention, the Hearts, how they had told the story. Heck, I can even go back to even the Vern Gagne and Nick Bockwinkel days, their feud. That was another incredible storyline that people don't really get, understand the picture of that. And, I always tell, for me, to pro wrestling fans, like, look at this. Yeah, I mean, it's fine to look at what is the modern era, but also look at this. What's the meaning of storytelling? And I think sometimes nowadays it's missing now in professional wrestling. It's actually telling a story in the ring, not just like how you mentioned, weapons here and there, or every time during a match, or a high spot every time. It doesn't have to be that. But everybody to each his own. Everybody has their own taste of it. So it is what it is on that.
It's a strange thing too, is people are nowadays, I run into a lot of people that they don't want to cut promos. They're like, oh no, I don't do that good. It's like, well, you should be doing more of them then. Like being able to talk in this business is almost more important than being able to work. Like, it is very important to be able to talk on the microphone in this business, and to have dynamic and compelling interviews, so that's a skill that it's getting worse and worse and worse. And the writers have really watered it down over the years because people are just used to getting their notes and just talking. Like I always hated that if somebody would just hand me a sheet of paper for me to read it. It's like, okay, I understand what you want me to get across, but I'm going to say it in my words, in my way. And then when you do it and they go, wow, can you do it again? Like, that was great. Can you do this one? It's like, okay. Just sometimes, you get people that just either they're control freaks or people can't do it. And it's like, I get it, but that's a muscle you have to work out. You have to get your promo game down. It's super important.
Absolutely. Indeed. I agree with that. And what I wanted to ask very brief, I know they asked before, you were blessed by having the almighty Sheik name, of course. But I want for you to get, let our audience know, your side of the story. So you were blessed with the name, because prior to that you had different other, in-ring names. But let the people know how the almighty Sheik was blessed to you by Sabu himself and his uncle.
Yeah. So, well, the original Sheik had passed away, and I had known Sabu, riding in cars in Puerto Rico and seeing him on shows and things like that. And I had a buddy of mine, Steve Madison. He was running a show in Florida, and it was at a Cuban club, and none of the regular wrestling fans were going to be there. And at the time, my tag team partner had decided he was going to retire from the business. So it was a place where I could try something. So I tried this Sheik gimmick, and it worked. And I was like, ooh, okay. I got something here. So before I took it out and went to go and use it, I found Sabu and I asked him, hey, is it cool? And I definitely, as somebody who respects the business and an old school, I didn't want to be on a show and Sabu get pissed off at me, So I went to him out of respect, and he was very gracious and he was very cool about it, and allowed me to do it. And yeah, man. So then I just I just started going from there, and it started to really pick up steam. And then I started picking up all these NWA titles. Yes. And then, it led straight to the 10 pounds of gold. And then I was off to the races, around the world.
That's awesome. Yeah. Especially, I love the fact that I mean, if I'm wrong, I think you're the only one who was able to hold both the AWA and NWA. I don't think I ever seen anybody to hold both titles.
Yeah, I'm kind of a mark for doing like weird things that nobody's done. You know what I mean? So I kind of like to like I brought the NWA belt, I defended the belt in Japan after 10 years. It hadn't been there for a decade, defended. Just I always like to, it's just a matter of keeping yourself hot, doing certain things. So you always have to think of what's the next thing, what's the next move. It's a different landscape now, but I was ahead of the game in a lot of ways. When I had my run going and I had a lot of control of what I was doing, I had some really good ideas that kept me moving and going forward and upward. And it was a good time. Good, cool stuff, man. The NWA and the AWA thing was a funny deal. And 01 was super awesome too. 01 I worked with in Japan for a pretty nice stretch, and they had the AWA belt. So at first I won it there, and then I won it in a match with Larry Zbyszko as well, just to put the icing on the cake.
Oh my God, that was awesome, man! I was like, what? When I saw that, I was like, holy shit! All right, this is what we're talking about. Oh man, that was amazing, fantastic. I love it. But you mentioned about Zero Pro. So how was it out there, actually, the culture out there in Japan and being out there and working with the company? I mean, that promotion itself had, various of legends, that, a lot of people don't really know about. So, I mean, how was the experience out there?
Yeah, it was really good. Very unique. Japan was probably, I've been to a lot of places. I've been very fortunate to be able to travel as extensively as I have in my wrestling career and my everyday life. And Japan is probably the only place I've ever been that I actually had culture shock. I was like, well, this is like completely different than any place I've ever been. But I liked it quite a lot. I really liked the country, and the company was really good to me. Like they were all great people, and they showcased me in a very big way. They put a lot of effort into me, and they gave me a really nice spot. And I main evented Quirk and Hall in a title versus title match, which was something that was my heroes like Bruiser Brody and Terry Funk and Abdullah the Butcher and guys like that. Inoki and all those Tiger Mask, Dynamite, all those people were in that building. So that was a really cool thing. And yeah, the people just treated me really well there. The fans and the office and the boys, everybody was really cool there. Funny thing is I haven't been back to Japan in, God, it's been a while now, maybe 10 years or maybe even more. And when I had Muda here, we just got on really well. I've known him a bit, and we just have a good rapport. And he invited me to Japan and said, anytime I go, I can stay with him. So I got a royal offer to come back to Japan whenever I decide to get over there. But I obviously won't, I won't outstay my welcome or anything like that. But I would like to go down there and go see him and his family, and completely as a tourist, not to wrestle or anything like that. I'd like to take my wife, and because the country is just such a great country. It's one of the better places I've been to. I love Europe, but Japan is right there. Is second on the list for me after like a few places in Europe. So yeah. But wrestling wise, my favorite place to wrestle is Puerto Rico. That for me is the most intense, craziest, most passionate fans in the world. They were when I was there. So in the early 2000s, it was still drawing major houses. Now it's dead, but I was lucky enough to go there. We were wrestling 5 nights a week, and we had television on 2 of those days, and it was really good. But wrestling in Puerto Rico fit me like a glove. And then I went back and feuded with Savio Vega. I worked with Carlos Colon in the World Wrestling Council, and then I went back a few years later as the Sheik, and I feuded with Savio Vega on top, and it was incredible. It was really good stuff.
That is awesome, awesome. And after all that, and by the way, Muda, I'm surprised you never booked yourself with him in a match. Why is that
I would,
so?
yeah. I just thought when he came, he had to be in a tag team, and I just selfishly, I would have loved to book him against WARBEAST. That would have been wonderful. But him and Penta together was just a really cool look, and I thought that the fans, WARBEAST at the time was popular, but they weren't popular. We weren't as popular as we are now. So I just thought it was the best decision, and that's, as a booker, I could have put everybody with me, you know what I mean? But yeah, I did put, Terry Funk came, and Terry Funk wanted to get into the mix, and I'm like, nobody's touching Terry Funk but me. So I got in there with Terry Funk, who's my favorite of all time. So Bruiser Brody, Terry Funk, Muda, these are all like my absolute, idols of pro wrestling. But yeah, it would have been cool to work with Muda, but maybe another time. Now he's got 2 new knees, and now he's running around like he's 30 again. So maybe.
So you've seen that. You've seen him in GSU so far. Obviously not as Muda, but as Marufuji. So I mean. Yeah, I mean, well, you never know. We might see you go to Japan.
I would love to bring Muda back, but again, man, it's just like I don't. If he was going to do a singles match this time, I would probably put him against our top guy. I would probably put him. It's sometimes it's better not to it's probably better as a thought. It's better to go out to dinner with Muda. Last time he took me to the amusement park, and we went on roller coasters all day. And I'm just sitting there on roller coasters with Muda, and I'm like, this is pretty cool. I'd rather go on roller coasters than wrestle him.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So talk to me about as well your quick stint in MOW. I mean, honestly, you were one of the most talked about, along with Jacob Fatu. I mean, if it wasn't for you, honestly, we would not know the likes or who Jacob Fatu is. And founding WARBEAST alongside with him and Brody King, which we'll get that in a moment. But I wanted to get very brief with MOW though. How did the relationship become on about, and how was the concept, the idea of CONTRA became all about when you came into MOW?
Well, at the time, it was right when everybody was starting to get signed up from the indies. And, prior to that, like, it was kind of a big deal when somebody got signed, and then like a few years ago, whatever it was, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, everybody, people started to get signed from the indies more and more and more. And WWE was signing a bunch of people from the indies. So it just started to become a little more prevalent, to where before the indies were like AAA baseball, to all of a sudden now it was the place to get guys. So we had a few offers, and MLW came to us with something that was just a little different. They just wanted to give us a really big push and go with us as as a top heel angle, top heel faction, and a big angle that was going to be on top of the card. So, the closer you are to the top of the card, the more money you're getting paid, so that seemed to be like the spot for us. It was like really good, and then it was like organic. Like we came in as a tag team. I feel like they always had maybe they always wanted to put the belt on Jacob, but they were like not really forthcoming with that. So I don't know if I would have like not got re-signed had I not been able to talk. Like, I don't know, So I know that I think they signed us as a duo, and then I think they were probably going to get rid of me. And then I ended up becoming the leader of the group because I just, I was spitting fire and everybody was into it. So I was really, really growing in my promos and everything. We didn't really have, and I felt like MLW was always like a chicken with its head cut off, you know, it was just running around chasing itself, you know what I mean? So I was always trying to help, you know, and it's one of those where, you know, do you want to not get paid for your, if you say, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that. Yeah, they're going to give you 50 million jobs, you know what I mean? And you're not going to get paid for it. So it's a matter of that finesse of, well, you know, you need me to do other things, but, you know, and, but I also don't want to be a mark and not get paid for it. So, you know, I started to work my way into like different stuff to where my contract just was completely different, to where I wasn't even wrestling anymore, but I was getting, you know, my same pay. And then I started, I was brought on as an agent, and I was brought into all the creative meetings. And then they started saying, oh, whoa, he's kind of smart and he's got, you know, good ideas. So I started, you know, they started giving me finishes, and then they started giving me full matches, and then they started giving me the big main events and stuff like that. And you know, I like to think that, you know, like one of my matches was Fatu against LA Park, which for my money, I think is the greatest match in MLW history.
Yes.
You know, really pat myself on the back for that. But obviously the guys involved were incredible, but there was a really good psychology in that, you know, we all put together, and I that was my match. And yeah, just little by little. And, you know, it's hard for somebody like myself who's runs PCW Ultra, you know, it's like I'm very aggressive and very assertive, and I you know, so it's hard to like sit on the sidelines for me, you know. So it's hard to oh, wait a minute, let me okay, you don't want my help, hey, I can see that, you know. And I feel like I always am playing quality control. Like if I see something on the floor, I'm going to pick it up. Like if I'm working for you, I'm all in. So it kind of like the honeymoon period kind of wore off, and there just wasn't, there was nothing for me to own there. You know, there was just nothing for me to own creatively. There was a booker already, you know, and, you know, so it's like, I just wasn't able to spread my wings creatively, and everything that, you know, I didn't really agree with a lot of the stuff and the presentation. And I just felt like we can do better in some places. And I didn't feel like it was because anybody didn't know what they were doing. I just feel like it was understaffed, and they just didn't have the money to really do anything more. So, yeah, so I kind of just, you know, I just kind of had to go take a piss and take off, you know,
and don't turn back, right? Just straight.
Yeah, because, you know, I've got a real good life, and I got a real chill life, and you know, it's like I get very antsy and very stressed if I can't participate, you know. I'd rather do like if I was involved in building these giant high rises, I would be all in. But I'm also fine building a little house out of cards by myself. Like I just like owning something that is like, that's what I did. I made this pie. What do you think of it? Like I'm that type of person. I like having control of, you know, my well-being creatively and everything. And it's just, I spent my whole career not working for anybody.
Right.
And as soon as I did, it just felt very claustrophobic to me. You know, even my marriage with my wife, my wife's super cool. Like everything in my life is real chill and cool and flowing and easy. And, you know, just that's the way I like to live. So working for somebody, but the last person I worked for was my father. And that's when I was a kid, you know. So working for somebody is just, oh man, it's just, I don't know, man. And maybe I'm not used to it because it's been so long. I've just been this outlaw that just goes out and finds work and everything and comes home and whatever. And it's kind of under my control mostly, but yeah, I don't see myself ever signing a contract again, unless it was for like, you know, the decimal point was way moved over to the right, you know, but you know, there's too much value in freedom. There's too much value for me for the, you know, the freedom of doing what I want, when I want, with whom I want, you know, in my own company. It's so much easier. If I didn't have PCW Ultra, that, you know, but I've got a very reputable indie that's super, super respectful, and, you know, I can do all my own stuff there. I don't need to go anywhere else. It's right there at my home, you know.
Absolutely, totally agree. And I mean, it's very understanding. I mean, you know, feeling that claustrophobic, like, oh, but you know, you have so many, you know, ideas, so much creativeness, you know, in your mind that it's difficult to kind of like expose it out because somebody won't try it. I mean,
yeah, and it's not your toys to play with. And
right.
That's just all it is. It's like
Yes.
you're wanting to play. It's like you're a kid and you're going, "Oh, let me see that. Let me play. Let me show you what I'm going to do." And it's like, no, these are my toys. So get out of here. You know, it's like, so it's like, you know, that gets old for somebody like me super quick. You know,
Yeah.
so so it's and I have no hard feelings. I had a great time there, and I was I'm very proud of the work we did there. I'm super proud of Contra and what it. I don't really, you know, I don't think it's the same. I don't know what's really going on much anymore. But when it was running on all cylinders, that shit was hot.
It was.
That was hot, dude. And there's denying that, you know what I mean? It's like what we did was really good, and everybody said so. And I had, you know, I even had people that were trying to hate on it. I'd be like, this is a goofy gimmick, but Samael believes it so much and says it with such conviction that I actually like it, you know? So it's like, I mean, it was a crazy cabal, and, you know, and that was another thing, is like, I never really knew where it was going to go. Like, it was always real hush hush. And it was like, okay, you know, it's like, I wish I would have had more of a hand in helping steer things, you know, and that's all I ever wanted, was to help more, you know.
Absolutely. I think you would have led it to a better direction where it is currently, in my opinion. I know everybody has their own opinions about it.
Yeah. No, I understand. Yeah. And you know, a lot of the guys that are there are PCW guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Like the cameraman. It's like everything. It's like they, you know, everything that we were doing here was obviously right because they saw it and liked it and used it. And then, you know what I mean? It's so that was always my thing, was like, well, I mean, you know, like everything I've done. Why can't I do more? You know? So
yeah. But
I'll stop before I get myself in trouble.
No, you're not in trouble. I mean, it's only an opinion here, anyways. You're just, you know, you're digressing, you know, but obviously, you know, it's different, you know. I'd rather like not say more, but I understand. I understand exactly, you know, because I think everybody feels that type of way. Like, especially you have so many, like I mentioned, so many ideas, so much creativity that you can take it to this direction, you know. Like how I tell, you know, my team here on Circle Debate is I tell them, okay, you want to try it, let's try it, because if we don't try something, then how do we know if it's going to fail or not? We learn by failing. That's how we learn, and then that's the problem that certain people don't.
But on another note, just to close it up, I mean, my track record was pretty good. It's not like it's not like you're going, oh, I wonder what he's going to do. Is he going to burn the place down? Is he going to do something stupid? Kind of everything I did was dope. You know what I mean? So,
oh man,
it
was awesome.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, I mean, there's also that. It's like, do you just not want to like give me any reins? Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, throw me a bone, you know, throw me some, you know, it's just, and maybe it's just, you know, I don't know, you know, I don't know. I take all responsibility for being annoying or whatever, or trying to want to, I don't know. Maybe I should have just shut up and went to work and done what I did and walked and went home. I'm just not that kind of guy, you know. I just like to do more. I'm a hard worker.
Absolutely. Much respect for that. You know, and throughout your career, you know, what can you say as of right now? I mean, you're still at your prime. I mean, you're saying your body still is hanging in there, but for me, when I see you every time, you still got it, like, man, like there's no other. And what can you say as of now, currently, as a performer, has been your defining moment throughout your career?
What has been my defining moment? I don't know. I mean, it's weird because, you know, wrestling's a work. So it's like there's parts of it where you're like, oh, that was cool, but it's still a work, you know? So it's like, you know, like I'm excited when things turned out cool. You know, you know, there was, I look at like these little glimpses, like there's these little just flashes of like, feeling the atmosphere when we're across the ring from the Lucha Brothers and we were on the microphone and talking for like 10 minutes before we touched, and the crowd, you could have cut the tension with a knife. That was so fun. Being in the ring at Korakuen Hall in a title versus title match with Kohei Wada, legendary referee in my match, and actually getting a victory, and all the Japanese press and all that. That was a fun moment, great moment. Mainly because of Brody and Dynamite and Terry Funk and all those guys being in that building. That was cool. Been in the ring with Dusty Rhodes. That was super awesome. Been in the ring with New Jack and the Natural Disasters. And whoop, I just hit my thing. Sabio Vega, main eventing Puerto Rico, and Booker T being underneath us. How crazy is that?
That's awesome.
In a Globe of Death match, and having people, at Fan Fest and stuff ask me about that match. It's like, how do you know about this match in Puerto Rico from 2000 and whatever? Yeah, man, just there's been a lot of great times. But I think probably the pinnacle is creating PCW Ultra, because PCW Ultra is basically everything I've learned put into play. You know what I mean? Like, okay, bet on yourself, do it. You know what I mean? And actually, it's succeeding. You know what I mean? So I guess if, now that I kind of came around the block and, going over all these high spots, I think that's the biggest moment for me is running this company.
Oh, man. And you, once again, phenomenal job. And like I said, it's where PCW is at. If it wasn't for you, we will not be here as fans. And we thank you a lot and very, very much for creating this platform for us fans to come and enjoy just incredible shows every time. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you.
And we thank you because you've done it. If it wasn't for you, like I said, we would have had this at all. And speaking of the event coming up on May 13th, you have 7 incredible matches, and you're having LA Park at PCW.
Yeah.
So, I mean, talk about these 7 matches, and which one are you actually looking forward to? Well, actually watching.
I'm really looking forward to the main event, LA Park and SINN BODHI. I'm glad I'm not wrestling Park. He's like a freaking great boss. He's funny because we each call each other Senor Cemento. He calls me that, and I call him that. So, but I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to DANIKA against VIVA Van. I saw these girls tear the fucking house down in Seattle. I mean, Viva has Danika's fantastic, and Danika can talk on the mic. She's vicious. And Viva is just become so magnetic over the past few years. Like, the fans have really taken to her, and you can't teach that. Like, that's just either you have it or you don't, and she's got it. So that match is going to be, as a performer, you hope and you pray that the fans are going to buy you as a baby face and get behind you, and they're going to be pissed off if you're a heel. And if you're a heel, you're hoping and you're praying that you have a baby face that the fans give a shit about so you can get your heat on them. So, those two that's going to be nuts. And then I'm really looking forward to seeing the young kid Nick Wayne come in. I just heard nothing but great stuff about him. He's, Buddy Wayne's son. I believe he's a 3rd generational wrestler. I believe his granddad is a wrestler too. He's going to be really Steve Madison and YUYA. That's going to be a great match. I can't wait to see that match because those guys, Steve Madison's a brilliant wrestler, and it's really great because he comes out here from Florida, and he's not looking to like go to all these other companies, and he's just with us, man. And he's just such a great wrestler. He rehabbed Eddie Guerrero when Eddie Guerrero was injured for the WWE. He used to work with all the girls. He's trained by Steve Kern. He used to wrestle out in Japan all the time with Ricky Choshu and with the world, I believe it was something. But Steve's a pedigree, man. Steve's a badass. So him against YUYA is going to be really cool. Yeah, man. It's just a great card. It's gonna be good. We don't have a lot of our regulars on this card, because I got the building, last minute, and everybody was booked already because we had to cancel because they stopped running for a couple months. But it is what it is. And then we're gonna come back July 15th with our normal roster and then some.
I'm looking forward to it. I mean, these 7 matches are fantastic, and I'm with you. Ever since the whole the Five show with DANIKA and VIVA so far has been by far one of the best storytelling by far as of yet, especially for the PCW Women's Championship.
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward for that. I'm excited to see that. I'm excited for Vidal finally having his first title defense against Jack Cartwheel.
Yes,
Cartwheel is we know his credentials. The guy's no joke, so this is going to be a challenge for Vidal.
He just got booked at Triple Mania, so yeah, he's coming on strong as a rookie, man. That kid is doing really, really well. So he could very well win that championship. And Vidal is another brand new guy. He's been around for a minute. And then we got big Toa Leona against Shane Mercer.
Absolutely.
Dude, that match, Katie barred the door on that one. That match is going to be brutal. Those guys are some big hosses, boy. Those guys are two brutish, strong guys. That's going to be super cool.
That's going to be a Slobberknocker for sure. Yeah. And because especially, Tio, that he's just signed, with AEW Ring of Honors. Yep. And us, of course, Circle to May promoting that match. So I'm looking forward for that. And Shane, and oh man, I think that's going to be very heavy hitting.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. And then we got a big surprise for July, and we're gonna reveal that the night of the show. Yes. So you'll know who's coming in July. And man. So everything's back to normal for now, and it looks like it's going to stay that way. And we're just gonna all systems go, all steam ahead, and we're gonna rock and roll.
I cannot wait, and I'm so happy that you guys, PCW is back. No, I'm not gonna ask for spoilers if people want to be, want me to be a Meltzer here. No, fuck that. No, you want to know what's gonna happen? Go to the show. Buy your tickets right now. The description will be right below. May 13th. Make sure you purchase it in Wilmington, California, at the IWLU Memorial Hall. PCW Ultra, a new beginning, because it will be a new beginning. And that's a fact. So make sure you purchase your tickets. The description, once again, will be right below in this video. Hit on PCWUltra.com and purchase tickets now, because they're already selling like hotcakes.
And there is only a few meet and greet tickets left, but $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase is going to be there. We got Mr. USA Tony Atlas is going to round it off. And we got LA Park, and LA Park's going to be there. We got a beautiful LA Park trading card that's going to be at his booth, and we also have a Muda trading card that's going to be the gift for all of our fans, as well as the poster for the platinum and the gold ticket members. And yeah, man, it's gonna be pretty killer. But get your meet and greet tickets if you haven't already, because there's a few left, and Ted DiBiase is going to be there. You remember when Ted DiBiase bought the belt off Andre?
Yes, I love that.
Former WWF World Champion.
Former WWF World Champion. Yes, I remember. The great storyline too there as well, man. See, I grew up over, with the golden era, more towards the AWA. I could say even the NWA a little bit. Yeah. Smoky Mountain a little bit. So yeah, I'm old school myself a little bit, but obviously I have to look at it. Oh, okay, this is what. Now I remember. So that's just me. It's like I can't go back. I'm like, and I have to relook at it. Okay, now I remember. Type.
Yeah, the angle with DiBiase was also a great angle, because it was the one where they had the twin referees and the evil Dave Hebner, and then that was a great angle.
Yes, it was.
That was a WWF in the mid '80s or the late '80s. was so good. Like WWF 87, 88. Oh man, it was awesome. Rick Rude and Jake Roberts, or Rude would put his wife's picture on his tights. Man, just great stuff back then. Macho Man got bit by the cobra from Jake Roberts. Good shit back then. WWF was killer in the late 80s.
Absolutely, yeah. Those were storytellings for sure. And I do miss those. Yeah, awesome angles too. Mm-hmm. I love it. Now, two more questions, and then let you be enjoying your evening. So one, I'm pretty sure everybody asked you. I'm not gonna ask you Mount Rushmore. I just want you to lay down, if you could book, which you do have the opportunity, let's say your last match as a performer. Where will you book yourself, and who would you book yourself against? As a,
where, like location, or
yes, where's the location? If you have that opportunity to book yourself, at a location along with the opponent that you've been wanting to have to, pretty much close those chapters and still be currently running as a promoter and everything.
I got it. Let's go big. Let's go Tokyo Dome against Muda.
Ooh, there you go.
Put me right on top in the biggest building. It sounds like a lot of money. I'm going to be very expensive that night. Oh, you want me to do the job? It's going to cost you.
It's going to cost you, right? Oh, man, wouldn't that be awesome? Hey, but you never know. If you go back to Japan, GAC Noah, you
never know. There. Main event the Tokyo Dome against Muda.
Exactly. You never know, man. Never
I'll start manifesting it now. I'll start manifesting that paycheck.
I love it. Awesome. Now, what would be the best advice that you could give to any upcoming, upcoming star that wants to get into the business as a performer, or as even a behind the scenes as a promoter, with the knowledge that you have learned behind and as a performer? What would be the best advice you could give an upcoming person that want to get into the business? What would be the best advice you could give?
Find somebody who will hold your hand. Find somebody that knows what they're doing, and attach yourself to them, and make sure it's not the wrong person. Find somebody that's respected, that's done something in the business. There's too many people that give out advice that have never done anything. And there's too many people that don't have any knowledge about anything. If I don't know the answer, I got a phone, and I got a number of somebody that knows the answer to the question I have. So, and that's the way I've always been, and find people who know what they're doing, and just pick their brain, and find a reputable school. Just don't, and a reputable school doesn't mean so-and-so from the WWF is teaching it, because a lot of times those guys are never even there. A reputable school is, you go to a school, it's clean, there's people there all the time, there's classes running, there's guys that know what they're doing, it's safe, there's no drama, there's no weirdos, and if you can find all that, you're gonna be hard pressed to find all that. But if you can find all that, find a reputable school, with good people. Good people that's paramount, man. You need to find good people, and then if you can find a mentor that is willing to be patient and listen to them. You don't have to jump off a cliff if they tell you, but don't fight them don't make their life difficult. Like, I can't stand when people ask for advice and I give them sage advice and they but it's like, okay, well then go do what you're going to do. If you want to know, how to get from point A to point B in this scenario, I can help you. But, if you're going to fight me on it, okay, do what you want, and I'm going to walk away, so respect the knowledge you get from people that are willing to take the time.
Absolutely. Very well said. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. And also, where can the people find the Almighty himself? Where can they find him on your social media platforms?
Oh, I'm the worst social media guy. Everybody tells me. They're like, man, you've had messages for 20 weeks without answering them for me. I'll post about a record I'm listening to. Everybody's like, well, what are you doing? I don't know, and I don't care. But anyway, if you want to see all my dumb bullshit, you can go to At Joseph Samael is my Instagram. At Joseph Samael is my Twitter. And that's JOSEFSAMAEL. Samael, not Samuel, like everybody says. But anyway, josephsamael.com, PCWUltra.com has all the socials. Everything's all at PCW Ultra, all across the board. Yeah, follow me. I need the followers. My how important I am in this world is not reflected by the number of followers I have. You guys got to make my self-esteem. You got to make me feel better.
That's right. You got to bow down to the Almighty. That's why.
Because we're no good unless we have a lot of followers. We got to have a lot of followers, or else we are just useless people.
And hey, by the way, I love your record collection, man. It's
thank you.
Awesome.
I got this for tonight. John Coltrane's ballads. I just got all the I'm a freak, dude. I go from, a lot of people are like, oh, I listen to everything. I really do listen to everything. I listen to country music, like old school country music, Waylon Jennings and stuff like that. I listen to jazz, all the masters, because I'm not like super well versed in jazz, so I listen to like all the masters. I listen to, I just bought all the Parliament Funkadelic records, not all of them, but a good bunch of them. Dude, I'll listen to Slayer, I'll listen to Parliament, I'll listen to Waylon Jennings, I'll listen to John Coltrane, I listen to all types of good stuff.
That's awesome, man. I love it. I love that diversity, man. And it's like in the records that you have, man, it looks like Jesus, you could open your own Amoeba store. I'm like, shit, that's a lot.
I sell records as well. I buy collections and I sell records, and that's warofsound.com if you want to go. But yeah, I pick up records and mainly because like I'd be spending so much money on records if I didn't sell them too. So I get collections, pull out what I like, and then sell them or grab this or that from an expo or something like that. But yeah, I'm always knee deep in vinyl.
That's awesome, man. I think my cousin does the same thing, and he has a collection as well. And I shit you not, it's like a fucking library. It's like yay high. It looks like like one of the old school libraries that you have. He has them that way, and I'm like, Jesus. I'm like, but it took him decades to have those, and there's some vintage ones that he did not touch, and I'm like, I don't even touch them myself. I just look at them. Yeah, shit.
But I've had some very valuable records, but what I started doing is all of my records are clean. Like I don't have any dirty records because I have a really nice turntable. So I have really VG plus to mint records. Everything is really super clean. But I prune my records all the time. So like I used to collect everything, and then I started where I was like, what do I really listen to? So I'll just go and just listen. I listen to all of them, and if I don't listen to them, then unless there's some crazy special thing or whatever, I'll just get rid of them and grab especially if it's like a record, it's like $500 or $1,000. I'll just sell it and grab a bunch of stuff I'll listen to just for practical purposes. It gives me joy, to hear stuff so that I like. So anyway, I just got super big into jazz. So I've been like all of these tone poets. They're all Stanton jackets, real thick jackets, and really beautiful albums. They're all from the Analog Masters. So like a lot of these jazz albums are super hard to get original, and the tone poets are brilliant audiophile recordings, and a lot of them are like $25, $30. So I've been snagging them all because they'll all get sold out, and then they'll be gone, and then they'll be like $100 in 2 seconds. So so I've been snagging all those, and been into jazz for a little bit now. Been aggravating my wife with horns and trumpets and trying to play a sophisticated gentleman on the couch.
Right, enjoying relaxation. Serenity at its best, relaxation with music. Absolutely, man. Well, once again, man, I appreciate you very much. Mr. Almighty Joseph Samael. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you follow him all over the social media platforms. And for all you, music lovers out there, it's Word Sound. I'll put it there as well. So, you can now, there's a way you can reach, of course, the Almighty himself as well. Besides on Instagram. You know how long it took me to reach him? But yeah. Took me a while, so but at least he's here. Once again I appreciate you very much, and I appreciate you for giving us the opportunity to be a part of PCW as well. You know,
thank you.
Coming back since October, we're part of the show as well. All system goes.
Yeah,
and I'm looking forward for this as well.
Yeah, we really appreciate you guys too. You guys are awesome, and you guys are great with the interviews and everything. If anything you guys ever need, just ask. We'll always be on your side. You are on the same team.
Thank you so much, and I appreciate you for that. So there you go, have it, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget, for all your SoCal Pro Wrestling fans, May 13th, buy your tickets for PCW Ultra New Beginning. Once again, the description will be right below. Purchase them now. As you know, the Sheik mentioned earlier, they're selling out already like hotcakes. Very limited left. Also for the greedy meats to meet a $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, and Tony Atlas as well. So make sure you purchase it ASAP. And because we will see you there on May 13th. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, it's the host of Devious One Ivan C. And here, of course, he's my familia now. So you're welcome anytime. You're part of the family, just like you welcome me and you're part of the family, Mr. Almighty. I mean, you're pretty much my boss, I would just say. So, yes, boss.
I like that. That sounds good.
There you go. So, you're my boss. So, I appreciate you, boss, for having me being part of PCW Ultra. So,
appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. And we will see you guys on May 13th.